afternoon to you, and many thanks for joining us on KTN NewsDesk on this 31st day of May 2016. Glad you could join us. We have a comprehensive coverage of big news in the country and beyond. But first, let's take a look at the highlights. A divided Supreme Court. Confusion over the mandate of the Chief Justice now plays out in the public. Pack and go. International Commission of Jurists Kenyan chapter wants IEBC commissioners to leave office. And Nakuru gears up to host this year's Madaraka Day celebrations. Good afternoon. My name is Akisa Wandera. Now, South Korean President Park Geun-hye was today formally received by President Uhuru Kenyatta at State House, Nairobi. The visiting head of state, who arrived in the country yesterday at the start of her state visit, was accorded full military honors that included a 21-gun salute with the Kenyan Defense Forces Band playing the national anthem of Kenya and South Korea. Thereafter, President Geun-hye inspected a colorful guard of honor mounted by the detachment of the Kenya Air Force before the two leaders held a one-on-one meeting that was followed by bilateral talks between the Kenya and South Korean delegations at State House, Nairobi.
This visit gives us a very unique opportunity to consolidate the gains that we have made and to also forge even stronger ties between our two countries for the mutual benefit of our two peoples.
저는 본 대통령님의 방문이 아주 좋은 계기가 될 것으로 믿습니다. 양국 간의 여태까지의 성과를 다시 한 번 더 다지고 더 강력한 관계를 맺어나갈 수 있는, 그럼으로 인해서 양국 국민들 간의 상호 호혜적인 결과를 도출할 수 있는 좋은 계기일 것으로 믿습니다.
I thank you, and we'll continue with the rest, but let me give you an opportunity so that we can release the media.
예,
This is the last time the President of the Republic of Korea visited Kenya was 34 years ago. And for me personally, this is my first visit to Kenya, and it is very emotional in many dimensions.
Now, the tribunal investigating bribery allegations against suspended Supreme Court Judge Justice Philip Tunoy resumed its sittings this morning after it adjourned last week to allow the judge to follow the ruling on his retirement age. The tribunal is hearing evidence from the Judiciary Ombudsman Kennedy Bidali, and here is part of this morning's proceedings.
The court file and the judgment. Yes, we had a casual look. As I said, we were not interrogating the jurisprudence therein. We sometimes do that to see if there is anything out of the ordinary. Of course, we are aware of our limitations, but we just look at it because there are instances when we've dealt with similar complaints and the judgment is only 4 sentences. That normally is an issue for us. So those are the sort of things we look out for, okay. Not the jurisprudence. We are aware that these are the superior courts.
All right. Before you proceed, earlier on you said you wish to enumerate issues from the affidavit that triggered you to further investigate. So far you have only enumerated 2, as far as I've heard. One is undue influence exerted on a judicial officer towards a certain judgment. Secondly, fear on his life. Any other that really triggered you to go out of your way to investigate this issue further?
Yes, thank you,
Because you have only enumerated those 2.
It would be out of his way. That was within his way. He had to do it. He couldn't ignore it.
Yes, we did look at those 2 issues, and there were others. Also, we knew that if there was undue influence or other considerations taken into account when delivering the judgment, the Supreme Court sits as a bench of 7. So naturally, the questions that come into mind is, yes, this affidavit talks about one judge, but what about the others? So those are the issues also we had to put in our at the back of our minds and try to see if there was a nexus between those mentioned directly by the deponent and the other judges.
All right, and our reporter Patrick Amimo has been closely following the proceedings of the Tunoi Tribunal. Let's now join him from the anniversary towers where the proceedings are ongoing, just to get an update on what happened in the morning. Thank you very much for joining us on NewsDesk. Patrick, what did the tribunal seek to find out from the Judiciary Ombudsman Kennedy Bidali?
Indeed, thank you, Akisa. The Judiciary's Ombudsman Kennedy Bidali has appeared before this tribunal. He's a key witness of this particular case, in that he's the one who was given the mandate to look into these allegations before the matter was referred to the Special Committee of the Judiciary Service Commission. Indeed, Bidali says that he came across this affidavit. The matter was mentioned to him by the Chief Justice on between the 18th and 19th of November last year. Yet, also a year after the affidavit was sworn by journalist Geoffrey Kiplagat, because Kiplagat saw the affidavit on the 22nd of November 2014, but the matter came into Bidali's attention on the 18th of November 2015, a year after the affidavit was sworn. And there have been at least a heated exchange between the Ombudsman and the lawyer representing Justice, the suspended judge Philip Tunoi, that is Fred Ngatia. Ngatia was really questioned what Bidali was driving at, especially when he said that he was trying to build a case on this allegation. But Bidali says that there are cases where he wanted to see that probably the judge could have approached Kiplagat or the accuser to deny there is affidavit. That's why he was trying to build up a case. Also, lawyer Fred Ngatia has taken an issue with the allegation that Justice Philip Tunoi bought a farm with the proceeds of this bribery, and he says that Tunoi is ready, if that land is identified, is ready to even surrender it to the Judicial Service Commission. And he's put Bidali on the spot to really explain all those transactions, because he says land transactions are public and you sell land to an entity. So he wanted Bidali to come up with evidence to show that that land really exists, or it's a figment of his own imagination. The other issue that really also lawyer Fred Ngatia took issue with and caused the adjournment of this particular sitting for at least a few minutes was to do with the affidavit that was just sworn the other day, last Thursday, by one of the court clerks at the Supreme Court of Kenya, Mr. Shemodek, which indicates that he was told that Geoffrey Kiplagat was a farmhand, was the farm manager for Justice Philip Tunoi's farm. Yet also Bidali did tell the commission that the Secretary of the Justice Tunoi did deny that the farm belonged, that Kiplagat was a manager at at Justice Tunoi's farm. Yet earlier on she had said that she knew Kiplagat as a farm manager. So this is a matter that Fred Ngatia wanted withdrawn, because he feels that they are introducing new evidence, yet this matter was settled before the tribunal came on board. So he wants the tribunal to deal with matters that was before it. Those that were canvassed before the Special Committee of the Judicial Service Commission are not any new evidence as the one that Bidali is trying to introduce, like that affidavit of a law clerk that was introduced last Thursday. Akisa?
Now, who are the other witnesses that are expected to appear before the tribunal, Patrick?
Indeed, today, as I did indicate, it's going to be a long day, because Bidali is a key witness, and his statement will form where this particular tribunal hinges on, because he's the person who did investigate or did inquire, receive those witness testimonies from various people, the various players who are involved in this particular matter. He is the one who approached Geoffrey Kiplagat after he saw the affidavit to clarify on these allegations which were touching on bribery. He is the one who also went to the Secretary of Justice Philip Tunoi to get to know whether she knows Geoffrey Kiplagat. So this particular matter, in fact, the lead counsel, Paul Nyamodi, has said that he will take a good time with Kennedy Bidali as the ombudsman, because his witness testimony is so critical in the understanding of this particular bribery case. That's why, in fact, Nyamodi is still leading the witness, and he will also have opportunity will be granted to Justice Philip Tunoi's lawyer, Fred Ngatia, to cross-examine the ombudsman. Akisa?
All right, thank you very much, Patrick, for giving us that update. Patrick Amimo there joining us from the Anniversary Towers, where the tribunal investigating bribery allegations against Supreme Court Judge Justice Philip Tunoi are holding their proceedings. And today, the major witness is, as Patrick says, is the Judiciary Ombudsman Kennedy Bidali. We will be bringing you more updates on the same. Now, the International Commission of Jurists Kenyan chapter has asked the IEBC officials to step down from their posts. The commission states that the IEBC is currently facing challenges regarding its credibility, especially with the IEBC chairperson Isaac Hassan, who was named in the Chicken Gate scandal, which has questioned the commission's ability and capacity to deliver free and fair elections. They've also expressed concern over the manner in which the electronic voter devices used in last year's general elections were procured and the existence of multiple voter registers, which has undermined Kenyans' confidence in them.
ICJ's position is very clear. We are non-partisan, but our interest is to ensure that the process that is going to be undertaken is going to benefit the country and for the country's sake. It is not geared towards either supporting the position taken by the opposition or that hardline stand taken by the government. But at the end of the day, we realize that the credibility of these institutions is for the benefit of the country. If there is a lack of credibility, because the IBC handles a judicial process. And I'll give you an example. If you enter court and find that the judge whom you are going to sit up and listen to arbitrate between you and another party is already exchanging with you, IBC is exchanging with certain of the political parties. They're not an umpire who is above these partisan situations. So as long as IBC enters the arena of the dispute, it sees as being an impartial body that can hold and handle a free and fair, credible election.
Well, and on that same note, later on in the bulletin, we will be joined by Samuel Muhochi, who is the Executive Director of the International Commission of Jurists Kenyan chapter, just to get a better understanding of the issues they're raising against the electoral body, the IEBC. But away from that, the ruling by the Supreme Court on Thursday to determine whether Chief Justice William Mutunga acted within his powers by issuing a directive to fast-track the hearing of the retirement age of judges dispute. Deputy Chief Justice Kalpana Rawal has challenged the directive issued by the Chief Justice yesterday, which moved the hearing date from June the 24th to Thursday this week. At the same time, the Law Society of Kenya has filed an application to be enjoined in the suit as an amicus curiae with the view to ultimately move the dispute to an out-of-court resolution. The Thursday ruling over the administrative powers of the Chief Justice will determine whether the retirement disputes will be disposed with before Mutunga's planned retirement on June the 16th this year. All right, let us now take a short break, but do not go too far. On KTN NewsDesk, we will be taking a look at preparations ahead of the Madaraka Day celebrations and, of course, some sports news. Do not go too far. Welcome back. You are watching KTN NewsDesk. Let us now get into some business news. Africa's only listed publisher, Longhorn, has commenced the trading of its 126 million new shares at the Nairobi Stock Exchange. This follows a successful rights issue that saw the company raise 533 million shillings, 3 million above the set target of 530 million shillings. The funds raised, the publisher seeks to retire current debt as well as grow new business lines and further extend their footprint into new markets. 100 million shillings will be used to repay Nairobi Capital Limited, while working capital and product diversification will each take 100 million shillings. Digital content will take up to 10% of the funds raised, equivalent to 53 million shillings. The balance will be used in geographical diversification and mergers and acquisitions. Currently, Centum Investment Company is the largest shareholder of the publisher after acquiring 60% of total shares issued. Now, extension works for the standard gauge railway line from Nairobi to Naivasha will officially kick off in the last quarter of this year. According to SGR's Environment Officer Stella Ndiwa, the project had not yet begun and dispelled rumors that youth employment was ongoing. The standard gauge railway, the heaviest infrastructure investment by Kenya, is set to directly and indirectly create over 300,000 jobs on completion. The Nairobi-Naivasha construction of the SGR is the second phase after Mombasa to Nairobi. Questions have, however, been raised about the job opportunities after it was alleged that most of the employment opportunities and construction tenders were being taken up by Chinese nationals and companies.
As per now, we have not started yet. It's just a preparation, and the CRBC are setting up camp. The project, we anticipate it to begin the last quarter of this year, October 2016. At that moment, what we'll be doing is community sensitization.
One of the major complaints is that there have been some committee people masquerading themselves as committee members, when actually the administration around do not really recognize them, and the resolutions were we do not have those committee members again, because I think they have really been shortchanging the communities around.
Now, residents of a slum in Athi River paralyzed operations at a local slaughterhouse, demanding its immediate closure. The irate residents termed it as a health hazard. They claim that sewer from the slaughterhouse contaminates their piped domestic water.
A spot check on the facility presents a grim picture of dirt, foul smell and raw meat strewn all over. Sewer from the facility is directed to their drainage systems and residents. Workers in the slaughterhouse too seem not to adhere to hygienic public health standards as required of such a facility.
Tumekuja kutetea haki yetu. Tukianzia na kichinjio. Mambo ya siwa. Wameachilia hii siwa sana, imeharibu barabara mpaka imeingia kwa mashule ndani. Pia hii siwa imeshikana na maji yenye tunatumia kukunywa. Ndio hata tunashikwa, watoto wanashikwa na kipindupindu.
Residents now fear an imminent cholera outbreak with unconfirmed reports of several persons showing signs of the disease.
Hata kipindupindu imeanza kuingia Silota. Kuna watoto wa mama mmoja nimesikia hako hapa. Sasa yeye anaendelea na kupata shida kubwa sana. Manake watoto wake wamelala kwa nyumba, hawaendi shule.
The facility, which is run by a private businessman, is under the county government of Machakos. Attempts to reach the sub-county administrator or public health officer were futile. Residents have threatened to protest daily until their grievances are addressed.
Kauli yetu sisi kama wakaaji wa Silota ni kichinjio ifungwe, na kama haitafungwa tumejitokeza sisi kama wakaaji wa Silota tuandamane kila siku.
All right, let's now get into some sports news. Kolongolo Football Club has seen it all. It has acted as a feeder to the Kenya Premier League, almost folded in the 2015 season, and is up again, dining with the big boys of the Division 1. The community-based club, whoever hopes sponsors, and the corporate world will give it the much-needed financial incentive to remain relevant. Hassan Juma visited the side in Nambale, Busia County, and filed the following report.
While Kolongolo FC has the potential of being the Western region's giant, lack of funding almost made the club grind to a halt last season. And the talented youthful players hope the new season will bring with it new tidings.
Kuna wakati msuko tunakosa fedha, tukavunjika, hatukucheza ligi. Mwaka uliopita.
It has been a one-man show with Kizito na Mulanda, the club financier. However, the club has begun to gain traction within the region. And Humphrey Nakitare was here to donate to the club, and his message was clear.
Tafuta hivi vijana na muweze kuweka ili watu waone ndio watapata nafasi ya kucheza.
Hatuna mfadhili kamili mwenye anaweza akasema sasa hapa iko fedha hapa wachezaji watapewa marupurupu yao na vitu kama hizo. Sasa ni wachezaji kujitolea.
Just like any other community-based club, the zeal to win has propelled the side to the top 5 bracket in the Division 2. After training, I strolled with the players as they bought groceries, and I met Mama Kolongolo, who was seen it all with the club.
Timu iko sawa. Watoto wamekuwa wakitrain kwa hali ngumu lakini wamejaribu. Nikiondoka nao nikienda safari nao wananipa points.
Players who live around are allowed to leave after training, but with the league match around the corner, players converge. Never mind, they have to share this room.
Hatuna uwezo, lakini tumejiamini kwa hili. Ukiona mazingira hao wachezaji wenyewe, si wengi wanaweza cheza wakitoka hapa, lakini wamejitolea.
Tutafurahia maisha tuko nayo, ndio baadaye tutajinasua.
Well, the players have ambitions of one day turning for the top tier league and possibly attract European scouts here. They hope the corporate world will aid the side as they navigate through the lower league. Hassan Juma, KTN News.
After grabbing a draw against rivals Tanzania at the Kasarani Stadium, Harambee Stars will now shift focus to Sudan. The two teams are scheduled to play on today at the Nyayo Stadium. The two matches are acting as preparations for the national team's African Cup qualifiers tie against Congo that will be played in Nairobi on the 5th of June. Now, the International Commission of Jurists, the Kenyan chapter, now wants commissioners at the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to pack and leave office. And joining us is the Executive Director of the ICJ, Samuel Mohochi. He's joining us from our City Center studios just for our discussion on what his team wants. Thank you very much for joining us on KTN NewsDesk. Bwana Mohochi, beg your pardon. What does the ICJ want as far as the electoral body is concerned?
I think there are three things that are critical in this juncture. One is can the IBC as constituted inspire public confidence to be able to organize the forthcoming general elections in 2017? And when you ask or you pose this question, you discover that there are a number of issues that have arisen. Issues relating to the previous election in 2013 and issues that are subsequent. One is the issue of partiality. The Commission and some representatives of this Commission have been making partial statements which do not inspire public confidence that they would be impartial when organizing these elections. However, you would also appreciate that there are active criminal investigations that have been pending for more than 2 years now. The Chicken Gate scandal, we are urging that the investigatory authorities to hasten the investigations and take concrete actions relating to individuals that are either adversely mentioned or individuals that legal action should be taken, be it criminal prosecutions. And thirdly, ICJ Kenya has taken a position that these ongoing demonstrations are not beneficial and that our leadership should be pragmatic enough from both political divides to sit down and discuss best options available on reforming the IEBC to enable it to be able to prepare for the general elections when it's due.
All right, thank you very much, Samuel Mohochi. We will be having a lengthier discussion in the second bit of this bulletin. Do you also want the IEBC to pack and leave? Be sure to join us on KTN News in the second part of the bulletin, just to understand what issues the ICJ has taken up with the IEBC and why it wants it to leave office as the country heads into an electioneering period in 2017. We wrap it up on KTN Home. Many thanks for joining us on KTN NewsDesk. Join us on the other side on KTN News for more news. My name is Akisa Wandera. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.